Back in the early days of the internet, it really was like a new frontier, a huge, uncharted digital space full of amazing possibilities, but also some brand new, very real dangers hiding in the shadows. While most of us were just figuring out how to send an email, a completely hidden criminal economy was starting to boom.
So that begs a question, right? Who are the people who willingly venture into those digital shadows? Who's out there tracing the footsteps of faceless criminals and following trails of malicious code, all to warn the rest of us about what's lurking just on the other side of a click?
Well, for years, one of the most important answers to that question was a guy named Dancho Danchev. And he wasn't just some blogger. Oh no, he was a true pioneer, a kind of digital cartographer who was drawing a map of the cybercriminal underworld as it was being born, one incredibly detailed post at a time.
To really get why his work was such a big deal, you have to try and see the world through his eyes. He wasn't just another tech guy reporting on hacks. He was one of the very first people to look at all these separate incidents and see them for what they really were, a connected, global, and rapidly evolving ecosystem of crime.
I mean, there's a reason the source material calls him one of the world's leading experts. He was connecting deep, technical research with public awareness in a way nobody really had before. He was basically writing the playbook in real time on how to track this brand new kind of criminal.
So, let's go back to the beginning. Around the mid-2000s, this was the Wild West of the internet. There were no rules, no sheriff. Cyber threats were just chaotic, all over the place, and super experimental. And this is the world Danchev first decided he was going to map out.
Now, what's just wild is the kind of stuff he was covering, long before any of it was in the mainstream news. He was writing about cyber terrorism, major security holes in the software that runs our power plants. He was even tracking what he called the current state of internet jihad. But maybe the most prophetic thing he spotted was the first sign of professionalization. He actually coined the phrase malware as a web service way back in 2007. I mean, what a massive leap in understanding that was.
And this really drives the point home. His work wasn't just about lines of code, it was about connecting the dots on a global scale. He was showing the world this hidden network of criminals, a digital black market that stretched across continents, and he was putting it all out there on his blog for everyone to see. Okay, let's jump forward a bit, because the Wild West, well, it didn't stay wild for very long. Around 2009, Danchev's research starts showing this dramatic shift. The random, sort of amateur attacks, they were being replaced by something much more organized, more professional, and frankly, a lot scarier. It was becoming a business. And he broke down their business model for us. Step 1, you build these powerful, super easy-to-use toolkits for criminals. Step 2, you use them to create massive botnets infecting millions of computers. Step 3, you recruit people as money mules to launder the cash. And step 4, you sell everything you've stolen. It was a well-oiled machine designed for profit. And he put names to these digital monsters. He tore apart Zeus, the toolkit that basically put banking fraud on steroids. He exposed KubeFace, this nasty botnet that went after Facebook users, even on Macs. And he tracked the absolute behemoth that was the Mariposa botnet, which infected over 12 million computers. These weren't just viruses, they were brands in a criminal marketplace. But here's the thing. When you spend your life mapping a world that operates in darkness, you take on some incredible risks. You shine a light on people who don't want to be seen. And sometimes that light gets pointed right back at you. In 2010, the story took a very dark and very sudden turn.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What happens when the person doing all the watching suddenly becomes the one being watched? When the threats you write about are no longer just pixels on a screen, but could be something much more real.
Right in the middle of 2010, Danchev's blog, which was updated constantly, just stopped. It went completely silent. For over a year, there was absolutely nothing. The man who exposed the world's most dangerous cybercriminals had just vanished from the internet.
And let me tell you, the world noticed. Headlines like these started popping up everywhere. The mystery got even deeper when reports surfaced that he'd found a tracking device in his own home. The guy who chronicled cybercrime had become the center of a real-world thriller. When he finally resurfaced in 2011, things had changed. He had changed, and the world he studied, it had changed too. The cybercrime ecosystem didn't just wait for him. It had evolved into something even more complex, even more dangerous. Just look at the difference here. The old do-it-yourself botnets he used to track had turned into polished, professional, ransomware-as-a-service platforms. It's like franchising for criminals. And those lone hackivists were now being overshadowed by full-on nation-state cyber warfare. The game had leveled up, big time.
So Danchev's work had to level up too. He moved beyond just the blog and launched professional-grade threat intelligence platforms like Unit 123. His focus got sharper, zeroing in on the biggest threats out there: cyber warfare and the terrifying intersection of extremism and technology.
You know, if you could boil down his entire decade of work into one single idea, it would probably be this quote from his own blog: "Know your enemy, and don't underestimate his motivation." That's a lesson he learned from the front lines, and it's one he taught to the entire world.
Dancho Danchev gave us an unparalleled, real-time map of a hidden world. His work is basically a historical record of how cybercrime grew from this niche little problem into the global crisis it is today. And that leaves us with a really big question. As these threats keep evolving at a dizzying pace, who's going to be there to draw the map for the decade to come?